It's Missing Real with Mike Darrigo. There is no sanctuary.
There is no
sanctuary. Identify. Mike 5. I'm the guy doing a podcast here, and as I understand, I have a special guest with me today. Who might that be? Identify.
Dave 5.
Chan, it's you again.
Yeah, what's up,
Hey,
Mikey?
man. Oh, wow. So we're back at Brick here in wonderful, glamorous Brooklyn, New York, doing another podcast. My longtime buddy Dave Chan here, my co-producer, I guess, co-conspirator.
Yeah, you haven't learned your lesson, Mike.
I'm real sorry, man. You know, you were the only one I could get.
Right.
But it's nice to see you again. And we're here to do another special duet, I guess, edition of Missing Real, since I'm pretty solitary most of the time and I need to get out more. But this time you kind of chose the film that we were going to be kicking around.
Yeah, thanks for having me back, Mike. It was a lot of fun. But we're going to be doing Logan's Run.
Logan's Run, 1976 sci-fi classic,
Epic.
directed by Michael Anderson, who I've not really heard of.
Mr.
Anderson. Yeah, that's the other episode that we have to redo.
Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, so what is it that made you suddenly just pluck this movie out of thin air, out of your memory?
It definitely, speaking of memory, I fondly remember it, when I was a kid, watching it on probably Channel 11. I watch all my movies on Channel 11.
Yeah, I remember
pretty
Channel
much.
11 with that big round circle, and then, I don't know, I just remember 11, WPIX, right?
WPIX, right.
Yeah, they had a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, they did. But I don't know why. It just came to me. It's sci-fi, and, you're a big sci-fi geek. So.
Totally, yeah. And then this is one of those first, one of the oldest sci-fi movies I remember enjoying because, if the special effects were too cheesy, even then, when special effects were really in their infancy, with stop motion and, cardboard cutouts attacking each other in space, it's just this movie has some pretty amazing visuals for its time. And it's a whole lot of miniatures and things.
Yeah. I mean, this is a year before Star Wars came out, right? Star Wars was 77.
Right. I don't think they even would have tried
Right.
if they did it after Star Wars. But yeah, I'm so happy that this movie exists. And it does hold a really important place in my film faves.
And it's an adaptation. It's not an original.
Tell us about this because I think I remember it's from a book, right?
It is. It is from a novel of the same title.
You did your homework, it appears. Yeah. 'Cause I didn't do that much, but
that was it. I just looked on IMDb.
Yeah. We have all this information is so readily available now. Yeah, I think I watched it when it was first on television. Yeah, I know I didn't see it in the theaters. I was probably not even old enough to, see above the seat in front of me.
It was R, right?
I don't think so, but there was nudity and whatnot.
There was
quite a bit of nudity in this movie, although they trimmed it down for the final cut.
Oh, is that right?
It is right. Yeah. There's that orgy sequence when they go through
disco.
That orgy disco place where they trimmed out a lot. You could see things, but you could have seen a lot more in the original cut. But yeah, they didn't want this to be like a hard R, like Showgirls with a sci-fi plot. It just wouldn't have worked. No,
there was a lot of gangbanging going on.
Yeah.
And not with like the actual gangs.
No, there was just banging. And well, we need to let's lead into what the whole movie is about. I don't know if anyone has even seen this movie because it's old.
Yeah.
And you need to see it. And apparently, I don't know, I'd heard years back there was a remake in the works, but it hasn't appeared yet. Although a very similar movie, I think, to this was The Island, Michael Bay, the movie with Scarlett Johansson and Ewan McGregor.
Oh, okay.
Where there was a sort of futuristic society and they were sort of like regulated very, very, in a very sterile environment, a lot of rules. And there was like this lottery where you could win and you could be transported to the island, some fantastic place, but it's really, it's a lie. It doesn't really exist. So in Logan's Run, there's this really clean society that exists inside a domed city after pollution and war and, overpopulation, the usual crap that kind of rids us of the entire human race, and there's just a few survivors. So they rebuild and everything is provided for you. You have a really simple life. Everyone wears color coordinated outfits depending on your age group, and you could have sex with anybody you want. Well, and if you're a regular citizen, you're just on Tinder. They have this futuristic Tinder kind of thing, but the police in this society called Sandmen They get like all the perks. They get like the swanky bachelor pads. And Michael York is the lead in this movie. You know,
That's
Michael
right.
York, probably the most English person I can think of.
He's classically trained.
He's very
right?
classically trained, yes. And he always looks the same. He doesn't look like he ages much. And
No,
he was
doesn't.
Basil Exposition in the Austin Powers movies, you know.
Right.
That's the only thing I think our generation now would know him from. But, you know, he was a very good stage actor, and he played the lead role, and he's Logan, you know, not Hugh Jackman. This is like a different Logan. There's no
adamantium.
No adamantium in this. Yeah, so Logan is one of these Sandmen guys, and his buddy, his friend on the Force, is played by Richard Jordan. Now, nobody really knows who the hell he is, I guess, except if you've seen David Lynch's Dune, you'll remember that he was Duncan Idaho. I don't know how you get these fucking planets in other universes and your name is fucking Idaho.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, yeah, you know, here's like, you know, Paul Poughkeepsie and, you know, House Hamburg.
And he was also in Hunt for Red October.
It's possible, yeah.
Yeah. So he was, I think, like the ambassador, and he talks to the Russian ambassador, and they're in his office, and he offers him a candy at the very end.
There you go. I got to watch that.
Was that it?
I don't know.
Or was it Crimson Tide?
It might be one of those, you know, submarine movies.
Yeah.
You know.
I think it was Hunt for Red October.
I have to find out. Good. I'm glad he did other movies that I don't really remember, but yeah. Logan, John Voight was considered for that role, which would have made it a completely different kind of movie.
John Voight. Okay,
yeah,
interesting.
That would have been strange, but you know, I'm glad Michael York is in there because he seems like such a nice guy, but his job is like to kill people.
Pretty much.
Because in this society, you're not allowed to live beyond the age of 30. But there's this whole big ruse where everyone goes to this carousel thing. It's like this really freaky Cirque du Soleil, you know, with like wires, and people start floating into the air with masks on, and this whole crowd gathers every single night into the mall. Like, good carousel tonight. Good turnout. And every time, it's just people floating into the air, and they like kind of explode in midair, and everyone's yelling, "Renew! Renew!"
That's what actually happens to the members of Menudo, right?
I think it does.
Yeah, when they get too old. They're like, renew.
Yeah, but they say it in
Menudo.
Spanish.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. But the funny thing about this is like this crowd is like cheering and screaming like it's the most amazing thing they've ever seen since last night. You know, it's like the same show every night. It's like, and they're applauding. Well, maybe they see like their cousin or their mom or dad, you know, blowing up. And apparently they all believe they're going to be born into a new baby. You know, there's like babies being born, and it's like a perfect balance. One is, you know, renewed, you know, one eliminates, and everyone has these little crystals in their palm that show when the crystal is clear, you're just been born. And when it starts turning red, you're getting old. When it starts blinking, you're 30, you got to go to carousel and be renewed or, you know, exterminated, really. There's a truth that we have to find out about later on.
That was always freaky when I was watching it as a kid. Like, I was like, oh, man, these people are like, it looks cool to be lifted and like that anti-gravity shit.
Yeah.
But then you get blasted.
Right.
By this invisible laser. I don't know what happens to them. Because like there's this explosion like on their midsection.
It might be static electricity, like, you know,
it could
the
be.
wires maybe touching some Velcro or something, you know, because they're all on wires. It's just they're cleverly hidden.
But even their guns you don't see the laser.
There's no lasers, right? Because again, Star Wars probably, you know, got the patent on laser beams because in Logan Run, when they fire at somebody, it's just like, bzz.
Yeah.
It's like these little tiny flames come out of it's like the thing you light the top of your oven.
Right.
Like, come on, I gotta boil some water.
And then squibs just explode.
Yeah,
like
sparks pop up on the wall. They basically they shoot at their targets like 15 times just to intimidate them, but I really think they just can't aim with these shitty guns.
Yeah, Michael York was just missing. I don't know if he was missing on purpose. He
was smiling like
mess with the runner.
Wants to intimidate the runners. Yeah.
So now you have to explain the runners.
Well, the runners are people who kind of don't believe in this renewal carousel crap, and they want to live. They want to be older than 30. And I
don't blame them.
I don't blame them. Yeah, life begins at 30, at least for us. But then, the runners, if you don't go on carousel, if you miss your appointment, you know, they have this little tracking thing and they know where you are. It's like there's absolutely nobody outside. It's like a big mall. I think this movie was shot in some Dallas shopping mall. So if you're not at carousel, if you're running around outside, you must be a runner, and they can track you and they find you. And everyone's wearing these bright colored clothing, so it's really hard to hide behind a white wall or column. So they chase down and kill the runners, and when the runner gets killed, their dead body is very neatly disposed of by some floating guy. He just comes over on this little floating thing. This little gas comes out, and then it decomposes with some really cool stop motion animation. So it's not a spot on the ground.
No,
it's like it was never even there. But first they take his wallet.
Yeah, right.
They riffle through his pockets. Oh, hey, I found this. They find an ankh.
Right.
I always thought Ankhs were the coolest things. And even though I was raised Catholic, I was never into like wearing crosses and stuff, but I always wanted an Ankh.
Mm-hmm.
They just seem sort of mystical and a little different, sort of Jedi-ish maybe, or,
Yeah.
you know.
I think the dude who invented the Ankh probably just saw like a cross and was like, I'm just going to like do this little loop.
I'm going to turn it into like the Prince symbol or something.
Right.
Make it look cooler.
Right. So now they can't sue me. It's not copyright infringement because I made a little loop.
Yeah, so sue me or smite me or whatever,
Yeah.
but it's original. Trust me, it's original. Right. So I don't know, whatever the Ankh religion is, this is what the runners carry with them. It's like some sort of symbol, and they believe in this place called Sanctuary, where everyone can just go as an alternative to Carousel. And the Sandmen are there to stop it.
But they have to escape.
The runners they have to escape this domed city. And of course, everyone's terrified to go outside because it's supposed to be like nothing but barren wasteland and unbreathable toxic air.
So they think, because it's all about balance,
it's
right?
It's the media, I'm telling you, man. It's really, it's fine out there. It's just
exactly. It is. It's the corporate media. But they do the whole carousel and blowing people up with invisible lasers because they want to keep the balance.
That's
true. Population, right? Because they believe that once you renew, i.e. die with the invisible laser, you're renewed as a newborn, right?
Yeah, a baby.
That's their philosophy, right?
Like, there's a new Sandman born today. Look,
right,
that's
exactly. That's the first scene.
Oh, I should mention that this film's music was composed by Jerry Goldsmith, one of the greats. And it's one of the weirdest soundtracks he's ever done because it's hardly any orchestral instruments or, woodwinds or brass. It's more like synthesizers and a lot of weirdness, like and then it's really disturbing.
That's really good. So,
sorry,
yeah.
Hire me for your next
You're like
project.
Human Beatbox, 1977 Human Beatbox. 76.
76, yeah.
So that was kind of like the 76 version of the Blade Runner 2049.
Oh, yeah, that was
score.
kind of a thumpy, weird score. But I think there was some sort of like, actual musicians performing it.
Oh, okay.
It might have been. But yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's like sort of electronic and sterile, like to sort of show like what the society's become.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's cool music. Yeah, there's some actual like horns and stuff somewhere in there, but it's a lot of that electronic bleepy shit that just gives it like it takes away some of its humanity. So anyway, Logan has this really swanky bachelor pad. He's doing his Tinder thing one night, and he brings a girl in there, and it's she's played by Jenny Agutter. You might remember her from American Werewolf in London.
She was the nurse, right?
Yeah,
his love interest.
Yeah, she was good.
Yeah,
so she's in Logan's run, and Logan just dials her up on his Tinder one night.
But let's describe that. It's just this little alcove.
It's like a closet, and a little smoke appears in it, and then
like colorful smoke.
He sees a man. No, not in the mood for that today.
Like swipe left.
He swipes, swipes left.
Swipe right.
And then, he doesn't even have to swipe. He just has. Well, he has a remote control. It's it's not even that advanced. It's more like a clicker.
Yeah, it's like those big rectangular clickers from the 70s.
Like a garage door opener or something.
Yeah.
So he's Tindering here, and he finds Jenny Agutter in there, and he's like, "Are you seeing anyone?" She goes, "Well, my last boyfriend was just out all night howling at the moon, so no. Come on in. I'm a Sandman. I have a nice place. Why is it wrong to run?" "Well, you're not thinking of it, are you? Because then that's where I come in." He pulls his gun out just to intimidate her. Yeah, he's like trying to be a tough guy, but he seems like nice. And of course, she's going to turn his mind later on to help him understand, like, there is something else besides Carousel. So Logan has to go to his police station one day, right? And they have to empty their pockets, kind of like, at most security stop points, right? He puts all his change, his keys, whatever, and he drops the Ankh on the little scanner. So the thing scans the Ankh, and then it wants to sit him down and interview him. Because, like, what is this Ankh doing in your pocket and such, right? So the computer is asking him, "Do you identify this object?" "No." "Question, what is it?" "Answer, Ankh." He has to always say question. It's like an interface. It's like kind of like, "Hey Siri," it's like, you have to go question. So this is prefacing Siri. And it's so visionary, man, this movie, right?
Totally, yeah.
And
thought of that.
The woman's voice, there's another actress in the movie, actually, who's a runner who gets killed later on. But she does the voice of the computer. And it's supposed to be so kind of like peaceful, seductive, and pleasant so that it can control the Sandmen and not make them feel as if they're taking orders. But they're like, okay, yeah, I'll do that.
Right.
So she gives him a really shitty mission. She tells him, you will find Sanctuary and destroy. And you will pose as a runner. He goes, "Well, how can I pass as a runner?" And she's like, "Identify." He puts his hand down, and it scans his hand and takes away the last 3 years or whatever of his life before, because I guess he's 27. So his hand is blinking now. He's like, "Oh shit, man! Don't go waving at anybody in the hallway. Hey, hello,
That's
hey, what's
tough
up,
to hide.
Francis?" Yeah, you can't give any high fives to anybody. So your hand is blinking, and he's a runner now. He's like, question, where are my 3 years? The question has been answered, Logan 5. Exit. Bloody cunt. So he has to go out. He has to like pretend he's not a run. He has to still pretend he's like just him, you know, and his best buddy there, Francis, Richard Jordan, who's very intense in this movie, by the way. You know, he's pretty like subdued in Dune. I guess that's because they were all on spice or something. You know, they're very mellowed out.
Well, he's from Idaho. So.
And he's from Idaho, so, you know, all those potatoes kind of slow you down, I guess.
Yeah. Carbs.
Yeah. So like, I'm trying to see what happens next now. Yeah, you know, so Logan is like talking to his girlfriend there, Jessica, played by Jenny Agutter there, and
a gutter.
Yeah, they're sort of like figuring out. Let's go find out like what's going on with these runners, and I'm like, now it's me. You understand? It's different now. It's my life now because I'm blinking. Look, so she could trust him. So he's like, all right, let's go meet with the runners, and they were gonna kill him, in fact, but something goes wrong, and like, you know, she has to tell him like, we were gonna kill you. It's okay, I was gonna kill you too in about 8 years. But yeah, he's let me see. They let a runner go at some point when they have like an encounter, and Francis sees this. He realizes that his buddy has defected, and like he's the enemy now. He's the target now, and he's gonna be chasing after him for a really long time. But Logan has to go get he wants to get a facelift.
That's right,
because it kind of helps to not look like Michael York if they're hunting for Michael York, right? Maybe.
Correct.
And now, how much would John Voight's face cost? Just curious.
Yeah, right. Or he's going to change to like Dick York. And now you shall be called New York.
He goes to this place where Farrah Fawcett is the, I guess, the cosmetologist or something. And
Farrah Fawcett.
She's in there looking very lovely. And she works with this doc who does the plastic surgery with this laser table, I think borrowed from Goldfinger. And they kind of like juiced it up a little bit. It has like 6 lasers shooting out.
Yeah, looks deadly.
So you need like a,
sinister.
You need like a vasectomy or anything. You just spread them and lie down here. So yeah, as he's trying to get Michael York the little demo of what this laser thing can do, he gets a phone call. Done. It's actually the director's son playing Doc, Michael Anderson Jr. It's probably his one and only acting role. I don't know, but nepotism. But everything goes awry, and like the lasers start zapping around, and there's a fight, and Doc gets zapped and facelifted and killed. And Farrah's upset. But they run. They go through this is when the scene is where they run through that sex tunnel orgy place in slow motion.
In slow-mo, right.
All those weird music's playing. But it takes them a really long time to get through there because somebody's like over-cranking the camera. But they finally get through there, and Francis is following them. And they go through all these different places with fish tanks and water. And it's like, I heard that they used to eat these things. Seafood.
Right.
I don't know what they eat. I don't think there's actually a dining scene in the movie, but they probably eat like little, carbon, like cubes of minerals or little jello stuff. I have no idea.
Well, I think that's explained later, right? With that human robot thing?
Something like that. Yeah, I think
so
like
it's like seafood.
They freeze dry everything for later consumption.
Oh, Mike, you would not survive there.
So if it's all fish, absolutely not. And I would resort to cannibalism, I'm sure.
Like, just, you know what? I'll go to the carousel at 20.
Yeah, if I have to eat one more shrimp platter, I'll just go ahead, lift me up
30.
in the Cirque du Soleil here. Maybe the next life I'll have better food. But yeah, there must be some decent fish there. It's all frozen anyways. So they get out of this tunnel, and Francis shoots a hole in one of the fish tanks and floods everything. So, maybe he'll try one of the fish too they're still alive, I think. They're still swimming around, so they must be okay. So anyway, Logan and Jessica end up in this elevator, and they go up, and they end up in this frozen cave. It's freezing, but then they find animal furs, so they could strip down and change into them. There's a little nudity, great. But it's PG. It's a PG movie.
Is it PG?
It's PG.
Oh.
But you would see nudity in PG movies back then.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and then now it's like mandatory to have...
70s, man.
Yeah, pretty freewheeling decade back then. And I'm not even sure if on television they trimmed it out. I used to watch TV... After midnight, if you'd watch like a Friday the 13th movie, you would see some naked girl get murdered. Mm-hmm. But if they showed it at like 8 o'clock... You might see like a naked woman with like blurred out or like the black rectangle over her nipples or something.
Like Parasite.
Yeah.
Just put it like, over the breasts.
Perhaps.
Instead of the eyes.
Yeah. It could have been like that.
Yeah.
But there's some nudity. And then this robot guy rolls around. His name is Box. He's played by Roscoe Lee Brown, who I also have never heard of. He's in the movie. He has a good voice. It's sort of like, James Earl Jonesy inside the metal. You will turn to the cold side. So they're in this frozen cave, and like he's wondering what the hell's going on in here. It's like fish and plankton and sea greens and proteins from the sea. That's pretty much the answer to every question they have. How long have you been here? And what are all these things frozen? And is this a museum? And fish and plankton and you.
For those who don't know.
Nah, Hamu is probably my most dreaded food product made from seafood.
Yes, it's kind of like an anchovy.
It is, yeah. So let's not talk about this. I don't want this to become like a horror movie that we're discussing here. Yeah. So all right. So they have a fight with Box because he wants to freeze them, and they're not having any of it. They got to get to Sanctuary, wherever that is. So they have a fight with Box. This big cave in.
What's in the box?
I don't know what's in the box, but they get out. They should have busted him open and see what the actor looked like inside, because he just basically plays inside an aluminum helmet or something. So we don't know who he is. Anyway, so they go outside and it's nice. It's all clean and green, and they end up somewhere in Washington apparently, because there's the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial, all overgrown. It's sort of like, isn't it like that other Planet of the Apes movie, the one with Marky Mark, where like you see the Lincoln Memorial, but it's an ape head.
Oh, right.
Sort of like that. You know what I love about these old sci-fi movies is that they always make you feel like you're in some other planet or something, and then you see, hey, we know what that is. I was just there with my family last week taking pictures. Yeah, so it's like, the Grand Canyon or, Old Faithful. But no, but Lincoln's face, you shouldn't find that on other planets. So like we're on Earth here, and you're not really far from where the government was, and maybe that's the reason why your society is all stuck under a dome now. Global warming, and maybe it really does exist. I don't know.
And it was their first time seeing the sun.
I think so. Yeah. What is that? Oh, it's warm. What is? Yes. Yeah. We can get naked again. Yes.
But isn't that interesting? It's almost like metaphorically like Adam and Eve.
Well, yeah. I think they go to the White House or the Capitol or someplace. It's also all overgrown, full of like old books and cats, and they find another living soul. It's this old man, and I think his name in the film in the credits is Old Man.
Right.
He kind of looks like a homeless George Lucas. So they find him.
Peter Ustinov.
Peter Ustinov, and all I know is that he was in Spartacus.
He was great in Logan's Run, though.
He was an old man, and he played it to the hilt.
Oh, he was so good. Yeah, his delivery was great.
It's cats. What else would you call them? Cats. And he's quoting T.H. Lawrence or somebody.
Right.
But yeah, Logan and Jessica are asking him a shitload of questions too, like, are those cracks on your face, do they hurt? May I touch them? Are there other people here? Do you have sandmen? Do you have carousel? And it's like, I've never met anyone before, but you two are the dumbest people I've ever met.
You don't know what a cat is?
Yes. But yeah, they have an American flag, they have books, they have paintings. So while they're just exploring this place and getting absolutely nowhere with their question and answer session, Francis shows up out of the blue and shocks us because we haven't seen him for a while. But he's still following.
Of course.
So he's pissed off. He takes Jessica up to the balcony.
Right.
There's chairs up there. I don't know. Maybe this was like Senate or something where people had like hearings, or where I guess they watch Cats, I guess. If you get tickets for Cats, you can go up and watch it there. I don't know. So he's like, he's pissed off. He's pointing the gun at Logan. We just can't get over the fact that they're outside. And Logan ran away and quit his job and stuff. They're like, you helped a runner. And it's like, Francis, look at your palm. Look at it. Look at it. And he's like imploring him. And he's like, it's clear. There's no life clocks. There's another way. And he doesn't care. He just wants to be a Sandman. It must be really great. Maybe he's looking at a really good paycheck back home, or maybe more Tinder dates that you can't get if you're not a Sandman.
Well, I hear the pension's really good.
Maybe it is, yeah. Yeah, once you hit 29, you could retire and collect the full pension, right? Yeah, it's good. So anyway, they have this massive fight. Using a flagpole, beat each other up and throwing each other over desks and shit. The cats are scurrying around. I think they're all real cats, because there's a point where like one of them almost falls down on a bunch of cats, and the cat's just like, meow. But they have great reflexes, I hear.
Cats?
So,
yes, they do.
There were no CG cats in 1976, right?
No.
But yeah, they have a massive brawl, and then Logan has to clop him over the head with the flagpole a couple of times until he sees stars and stripes. And he's like, oh, shit, and he dies sort of peacefully. I don't know. What are his last words? Does he look at his hand like, hello, it's clear. It's like, I smell spice. It's sad, right? So they bury him outside in the graveyard. They don't know what a graveyard is either. And Old Man's like, he wants them to bury him there when he dies. But like, you have to come with us. You must. We have to show you off to all the young people. I've never seen a young person before. Well, we're younger than yourself, but we have a lot more of them too. We have to show them we could change the world or something. He just knows there's nothing else to do, because what are you going to do out here? You're just going to rot in this old political building here with cats. Unless you could eat cats, I think.
Oh, well, you know what? They will eat you once you die.
You might, yeah.
There's no loyalty.
Right. So it's either you or them, right? Survival of the fittest, right?
I think that's why he wanted to be buried. I don't want to be eaten by my cat.
And now if there were dogs here, they'd dig your ass right up and they'd eat you anyway.
Probably, yeah.
The dog will even bury you first and then make you think that you're okay while you start to decompose, but then while you're still fresh, dig you back up. And
I don't know, man. Dogs are pretty loyal.
Even after you
Cats
die? I think dogs will eat you. Remember what happened to Ramsey Bolton? They're not that fucking loyal.
Oh.
They're not. So, yeah, they take this really long walk back with old man. But I don't think they go back the exact same way they came. They don't go through the ice thing. They don't go through the sex tunnel again because I don't know if he could take it. He might have a heart attack.
Right,
What's all those things? So, yeah, but they end up at the outside of the dome. It's like this cascading water thing. It's really beautiful, and I think that's a real place you can go to. Some kind of water treatment plant. I made a note of all the locations in Logan's Run.
Cool.
Because this is an old movie, and if they actually still have these locations, I'm going to go visit them.
Right.
And if not, I'm going to go to Tunisia and find Luke Skywalker's old home before they bury that in the sand, too.
Oh, yeah, that'd be really cool, man.
These movie pilgrimages I go on just to find, like, the locations.
Tatooine, right?
Yeah, Tatooine.
Yeah. That's where his aunt and uncle got, like, fried.
Yeah. Maybe there's still a few bones there. I don't know. But I think, there's a hotel in the ground that was actually used as the Skywalker homestead or the Lars homestead because they were Lars. Yeah, Lars Ulrich started playing drums down there back in the day, and that's where he wrote Enter Sandman because he was inspired by his surroundings.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, so Enter Jawa, Enter Sand Person. Logan's Run. Yeah, so they're hanging around outside this water stairway thing of water. And old man, all right, you just wait out here. We'll bring them to you. Okay, I don't know how long I can stay out here. I'm pretty old.
Like, all these waters make me want to piss.
Yeah, you must have to take a massive piss. And if you piss into that fountain, you might contaminate the city.
Yeah.
I don't really know. But so Logan and Jessica jump in the water and they swim underground. They don't really know where they're going, but this is how they get back inside the city. So they just, pop up inside some swimming pool, lagoon somewhere. And, they see I guess they're still dripping wet, but their clothes are all shredded up. And they see everybody's going to Carousel. There's that big gong. And everyone's parading through the promenade there to go to Carousel. And they just run out onto this balcony and they shout at the crowd. Logan's like, "Stop! You don't have to die. You don't have to die at 30. You can live. And they all start laughing and keep going. And Jessica's like, "No, listen to him. It's true. I've seen it." And they don't give a shit. They want to see Carousel because it's just so awesome every night. People going up in the air and sparkling. So they're going crazy. Then a bunch of sandmen tackle them. It's like, no, the life clocks are a lie. Carousel is a lie. Gets taken back to the police station.
Yeah. So I have a question.
Yes, question.
So, they're killing people at 30 to conserve resources. Why did you spend all that money on a stupid carousel with an anti-gravity device? You could have used that money to probably, increase resources to feed your people.
Well, they must have had the wrong politicians, and maybe they didn't know how to enact all these great ideas you have, and Carousel's probably cheaper.
Yeah.
Maybe it's even maybe it doesn't even use any power. Maybe there's a bunch of people underground just pushing it around in a circle.
Maybe.
Like Conan on the wheel. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. It's probably all human power.
Okay. Yeah.
It might be the one piece of technology. What about that big spinning silver hand in the middle of the plaza?
How much did that cost?
That looks expensive. I know it's probably made of tin, but yeah, that was very expensive. I know. You could just melt it down and make some things. But they do have a really intricate subway system. It's just a bunch of cars that float through these clear tubes.
It's like Elon Musk's Hyperloop.
Right. And it's you could just hop on, hop off and use it whenever you want. There's no subway, there's no tokens or Metro cards or fares. It's just, you just go. When there's awesome. And some of them go to a really bad area and you have to have the restricted access, like when they go to that place where all the gang members are and or he gets his first key or whatever when he's on his beginning of his voyage. But all right, so they get back to this place, and he's in the interrogation room, and they have to find out, did you find sanctuary? So you see all these holograms, they want to tap into his brain. So these bunch of Logan holograms pop up inside these cylinders. Now, this movie was the very first time on film that laser holography was used. So it looks pretty fancy.
Really?
Maybe not to our modern jaded eyes, but back in 76, we're like, well, that's pretty cool. But it was like a 3D hologram of Michael York spinning around. It's like, there is no sanctuary. And then they're all given the same crappy answers, and the computer can't handle it. So the computer short circuits, does not compute. Error in file. and he's showing his Ankh. The power of Ankh compels you, and the whole shit blows up. And like, yeah, as usual, like the end of most of these movies, everything just explodes and falls apart just because the computer is on the fritz. And everybody has to evacuate. I think even the carousel people come back down off the wires like, let's get the fuck out of here, man. Yeah. It's chaos. Like the whole mall is exploding. People are running and it's like Black Friday or something. So they all start running outside, and I don't know how everyone seems to just end up on the stairs where the water is trickling down. Because, like, how is it so easy to get out when they had to swim under to get in?
Where did they come from?
I don't know. Maybe it was like a secret hatch, like a secret, carousel escape route that they all use. So, all right, a lot of people died inside the city, but then the rest of them come out and they see Old Man and they're crowding him. It's like, oh my God, there's like one of him and he's like cornered by like 1,000 people. And it's like, all right, if they're hungry, you're in trouble, old guy. But no, all they want to do is touch him. The woman comes
touch
up,
the beard,
touch his cheek and his scraggly beard. Logan and Jessica come outside, and we're all happy now because we could breathe clean air.
And then, but
where do we go from here?
Well, when Logan and Jessica are laughing, look at the old man, right? Yeah. And then shit is like blowing up behind them.
Right? Yeah, miniatures are being blown to smithereens. Yeah. That's true, but that's okay. Nobody cares. Like they're all right. This is fine. We just saw like a wrinkly, cracked old guy. Mm-hmm. And our city and our homes are gone, and probably a bunch of babies are still in the nursery. They died, too. It's a pretty depressing ending, actually. There's no hope at all. Yeah. But what happens after Logan's Run is anybody's guess. It did win an Academy Award for visual effects.
Oh, no way.
That's only because there was no Star Wars yet. But yeah, it was very impressive. Come on, man. How could these people be happy at the end of Logan's Run, man? It's like, they're all homeless and jobless at this point. So, yeah, the end.
Run, runner.
Run, runner. Nobody gets to say that anymore. What do you do now? You learn how to farm.
I guess so.
Or just thaw out all that frozen fish.
Yeah. There's
people frozen in there, too. I don't know if they're all dead. Maybe they're cryogenic. This is like the very first cryogenic lab.
Yeah, well, now that they know what berry means, so.
You mean like
buried.
Strawberry? Blueberry? No, berry in the ground. But Logan's Run didn't stop there. Do you remember in 1977, there was a TV series, Logan's Run?
Yes, I kind of remember that, Mike.
Do you?
I kind of do.
Can you name even one actor who was in it?
I cannot, Mike.
I'll do it for you.
Okay.
Well, I hardly...
Lee Majors.
No, Lee Majors. He could have been in there. Well, Gregory Harrison played Logan. Now, Gregory Harrison, all I know about him is he was the assistant on Trapper John M.D.
Ah, okay.
And there was a girl, Heather Menzies, who was in The Sound of Music in 1965. Mm-hmm. And I think she died a year or two ago. And of course, the only cool actor I know was in this show, other than a few guest stars here and there, was Donald Moffat, who was in John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yes.
Played Gary. Well, yeah, Gregory Harrison isn't exactly the most exciting leading man, but, actually, other actors who auditioned for the role, and I kind of wish they'd gotten it, were Dirk Benedict, the original Starbuck, the male Starbuck.
Yeah.
From Galactica. And the other guy, Nicholas Hammond, the original Spider-Man.
Yes. That was awesome, that Spider-Man. He only had one web slinger and was on the outside of his costume.
Yeah, and he had to make sure the tank was always full, right?
Right. That's what you do with a limited budget.
But yeah, just wanted to throw in that info about, Spidey and Starbuck there, because we would have had a much more interesting Logan's Run TV series, and maybe it wouldn't have been canceled. Oh, exactly. Well, we'll never know, will we?
Next time they should throw in some Cylons.
I guess.
Make it interesting.
Yeah, or a Daggett.
Yeah. Pew, pew. So what was the whole theme, the premise of the show? Is it just like Logan chasing down runners?
Well, I don't think there's any more runners, but there's still a Francis in the show, even though Francis was dead in the movie.
Like Agent Coulson.
Yeah, he just came back to life for no reason, even though Loki stabbed him a few times. So, yeah, the premise is the same. I think the first episode, because I haven't seen it in a while, it does begin like in a domed city. Maybe it's sort of like kind of eschews the entire movie, but it shows you the society. I'm going to watch it again now because I'm curious about it, but they basically just drive around in this like souped up futuristic shitty Winnebago and like have adventures in different places, and they find people in the outside world, and Donald Moffat is like a robot in like a green Peter Pan sort of like jumpsuit. Not very cool.
Doesn't sound cool.
He doesn't say anything cool like, I'd rather not spend the rest of this century tied to this fucking couch. He doesn't get to say anything cool like that, but he's in the show, and it was all right. And it only ran for a year, like 77 and 78. And all while it was on, do you remember Mego Corporation that made toys? They were like the poor man's Kenner.
Okay.
All right, so Mego Corporation was going to produce some Logan's Run action figures and shit, but when the show was canceled, so was the toy production.
Oh,
sadly, because I really would have loved to have Donald Moffat so I could play Thing with it or something. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, the show was cool. I remember it had some really good episodes. And I think one of them was written by Harlan Ellison, or some other notable sci-fi authors wrote some of the stories. Or it's sort of like Star Trek. You know, it's worthwhile. It's worth seeing. It's good.
Cool.
And I don't know
It's
if there's
probably
any.
on YouTube.
It's probably somewhere else. You could borrow it. I got
Thanks,
it.
Mike.
You can borrow it, man. I'm glad you watched Logan's Run just this morning because I watched it. But I think any more final thoughts on this film?
Just watching it again, I'm thinking how science fiction films, when it's like set in the future and all that, it's always like the set design, the costumes, everything, the makeup. It's always based in the time period that they're making the film. So when we're watching Logan's Run, it's supposed to be the 23rd century, but it still looks like it's the 70s.
Well, yeah, everyone's kind of dressed like they're at an ABBA concert. Or,
right.
But there's no bell-bottoms, at least, or.
But that's pretty...
You got Farrah Fawcett. That pretty much like stamps it right there in the 70s,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why I was expecting Lee Majors.
Oh, okay. Well, he wasn't in there. He was the $6 million man, and I don't think they had that kind of a budget for Logan's Run. I don't know if the whole movie might have cost $6 million or less.
Well, if it was Lee Majors, like since he was the Bionic Man, he could just run.
Right.
He could just get the hell out of Dodge.
He could be the only runner who outruns the gas lighter things.
Yeah. With no laser. Yeah.
Wait, I have to refuel. You got some butane?
I'm going to light my cigar.
And when you run out of shots, it's just like, damn, runner's getting away. We'll just throw it at him or something.
Light a match.
I don't know. It's a great movie. I could watch it like endlessly. What I really love about the movie is it's sort of like an odyssey. It just begins in one place and then it takes you through so many other environments and the set design and just like the whole feel of everything, and like it's just the contrast between like the city and being out in the overgrown wild where there's just nothing but trees and nature and one old dude and a bunch of cats.
Right.
I don't know how. Well, I guess cats will outlive the human race too. Them and cockroaches.
Wait. So okay. Sanctuary. They didn't actually find it. So did that mean Sanctuary is actually outside?
Maybe Sanctuary is just a concept. Because even in the TV series, they were supposedly looking for Sanctuary, but they never found it either because the network canceled the show or because there really wasn't going to be a Sanctuary. It's all, it's all, maybe it's right here in your heart or some dumb platitude like that. But there is no Sanctuary, but it's okay because then no one could run, runner. I guess we're done with Logan's Run, right?
Right.
All right. Thanks for being my guest again, Dave Chan.
Yeah, thanks for having me back, man.
And thank you, listeners, all of you. I really wish that you've all had or will have a happy 31st birthday. And tune in to the next Missing Reel, coming real soon. But wait, don't go. I have something else to tell you. Yeah, hang on. There's one more thing I almost forgot about. This is really interesting, too. While there was never a sequel to Logan's Run in film form, there actually was a musical sequel to Logan's Run. No, wait, hear me out. It wasn't some cheesy Broadway production or anything like that. In 2000, the CD or album was released by members of the bands Jellyfish and Red Cross, and it was called Logan's Sanctuary. It's like an imaginary sequel to Logan's Run. It's mostly instrumental, electronic music, a couple of vocals here and there, but the cover is very 70s inspired, like a white cover with the logo. The lettering is the same. It's like this pencil-drawn kind of future city, and inside is the story that was, imagined as the sequel, the continuation of Logan's Run. And there's some pictures of band members and stuff all dressed up in their Sandman outfits and cool-looking stuff. It could have been like outtakes from the movie. So it was very interesting. It's a good listen. You may have to hunt it down on eBay or something and spend a little bit. But, if you really love Logan's Run, and of course, especially if you dig Jellyfish and all the spin-off acts, it's all great music. And, you can just watch the movie in your head and figure out what happens or what could have happened. So, and the only other cool thing I should say is there's this cool bar in Park Slope called Logan's Run. Makes some pretty great cocktails, too. But you can't, Tinder date people in the closet or anything. It's not quite up to that level yet, but it's still a cool place. And, I think you can only get in there if you're under 30, but it's a great bar. Well, anyway, that's probably all I got now. So on your way to Carousel, remember to pop in Logan's Sanctuary and listen to it. It's cool. And, carry on. And thanks again for being a loyal Missing Reel fan. Listen, listener, and I'll see you next time.